a sustainable vehicle versus an old vehicle, I'll take the one that will, for a couple of years, I don't have to worry about how I'm paying for servicing or tires, as you may call it, or bricks or whatever, because I invested in that.
Yeah, well, I only pay for 2 subscriptions. And what me and my friends and my family do is that each person pay a subscription for one thing, and then we share the password and the information. So everybody pay for one thing, and we all share what we have to share, and then we watch what we want to watch. Right? And so that we don't have to pay those exorbitant fees of having subscriptions for every single thing.
You can work out your subscriptions to a way.
Grown Folks Only Podcast.
I guess that's our toast. Our success as a nation, people, and society depends on our individual success.
Clock it.
Cheers. Clock that tea.
But what is success? Success is accomplishing your dreams, hopes, desires through your own means and efforts. But how many times have you seen a dream deferred, the rent due, or the entrepreneurial ideas spiraling out of control? Today we're talking about paycheck to paycheck. So, let's open the floor. Femi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Earlier you mentioned to me that struck me as intriguing that you have some interesting experiences in college dealing with your studies, finances, and balances. Can you give us a little insight to one of your most triumphant financial moments?
In that time period? Yeah, sure. So basically, I used to get a certain amount of money from my parents a month, and I had to manage that in terms of buying groceries and then paying my phone bill, because residence was taken care of already.
You had a phone bill?
Yes, I had a phone bill, a cell phone bill, which I had to pay every month. So besides that, I decided, you know what, let me get a job on res or somewhere that was paying at least, minimum wage. So I got a little side job so I could have some spending money. Because after you buy groceries and pay the bill, the one bill that I had, all my money was going towards, say, winter expenses. You have to have a good winter jacket, good winter boots, stuff like that. And then I didn't have no money for entertainment. People would invite me out off of residence hall. So if it's just going to the movies or just going to the mall, I was like, I don't have money to spend on those things, so I just used to decline to go. So I got a job, and after getting a job, I was like, all right, cool. Now I can manage my money a little bit better and be able to have a little entertainment fun.
Right.
So you have to put a little zest money aside every 2 weeks. So now when people are residents be like, oh, let's go to the movies, a good movie show, and I'll be like, all right, cool. I have a little $10, $20 Canadian I could put aside, that I have aside that I could spend. And it wasn't something that I did often, but it was nice to know that I could finally say yes to doing these things instead of being like, all right, no, I can't go because I don't have any money and I was on a budget. So there was that. But they also had times when people just wanted to go downtown all the time. A lot of these other children that were living on res came from very affluent families where their parents gave them more than enough spending money, plus paid for everything else. So it was like, they was cool with clubbing every weekend, going out almost every single day. I couldn't do that. I wasn't a Canadian student. I was an international student paying almost double or triple the amount everybody else was paying. So it was just like, to balance all of that, making sure that my schoolwork didn't suffer as well, I just had to balance my money as much as I could. And I made it happen. I had some good experiences and I had some bad ones. There was times when I was stuck downtown. I was trying to figure out how the hell I get in home because the subway cut off, so now you gotta pay taxi fare to go up the road. I didn't cater for that. And I didn't know that the subway was closing at a specific time. Like, no one told me this. So like, I'm out with some of these friends and they're like, okay, well, let's just take a taxi and we'll split it. And this is me in my head. How much is this taxi gonna cost? Because I didn't cater for that. I only had just enough money to get in the club, just enough money to get back home. But my parents always tell me, you have to walk with Vex money. So you have to tap into the Vex money fund and go up the road.
Carol, how about you? What was your first interactions or dealings with finances and money?
I've never really been a frivolous person, and I've always tried my best to think logically. So even if I decide I'm going out of $1,000, I always have. I always have two minds. If I go out and it's not good, I'm coming back home, keeping most of my money. But I always keep in the back of my mind, if I go out and I start to enjoy myself, I'm going to spend that entire 1,000. And I've already decided I can afford to lose it. So one of the things that changes your mentality is having a kid. And your focus changes, and that entity becomes your sole priority. And you change your concept of going out, drinking, liming, whatever it is. You focus more on, all right, I know I have school. What if he gets sick? What if he or she gets sick, I should say? What if there's food? I might want to bring them out. And for me, that was the first time I started to not just think about the dollar to dollar or paycheck to paycheck, but focusing on paychecks after, as in what I can do further on. So that would be one of my things I would say.
Nice, I like that. Miss Glam Gorgeous. I'm upset. I really want to hear what was your first experience and how you end up with your relationship with money. You have any interesting stories in regards to that? I know you have some nice stories.
I do, but I don't know this time. Huh?
Yeah, know that time? You never run short, you never find out where you say, I can't never let that happen to me.
So- So
First time I see that one was
Lost for words, eh? Okay. Is it that you have so many stories, or one of them just have you laughing?
no, I'm just, Okay, so let's get into it. I've always been somebody who loves budgeting. I love writing my budget, and I like putting things together as it pertains to my monthly expenses. So if I know I'm making that amount of money a month, I could budget the dollar to the T. So when it comes to running out, I'm not really running out, but I'm adding other things that I want to the list. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right? So if I know bills, I have a son, he's extracurricular, his school fees, etc., because majority of the money is obviously allocated to my son. So I would budget all of that, and then later down the line, I'll realize, hey, but I want to do this, or I want to add this, but I cannot afford it. And then I had to sit down and define wealth. Like I had to sit and ask myself, like, okay, what is wealth? And I feel like, not wealth, but what do you consider rich? Now, I know a normal person would say, when they hear the term rich, it's money, or some people would say it's not about the material things, but life, etc., etc. But I define wealth, or to be rich, as having enough to never think about what I have to put aside, or having enough to never think about what I have to sacrifice. I don't have to think about how I'm going about paying anything, because I just have enough. And that's what I consider real wealth. And so, because I like to budget, from a very, very early age, I went into like business proposals and thinking of how can I expand my finances? Like, how can I... I'm laughing because none of them have come to fruition as yet.
Work in progress, don't mind.
Don't worry, man. It's a work in progress.
But it's there.
You still have the vision board.
Yeah, it's there. And even recently, this paycheck to paycheck thing is so sensitive, y'all.
Oh, it's sensitive.
It is.
Okay.
Explain to us why.
Yes, because when you think of it, right? This is when you really sit and you think of paycheck to paycheck, it's so real. It is so real. Right? And when I think about other persons facing situations that don't even make the bare minimum, and me who make enough to sustain myself and my son, you understand? When I think about it and I'm looking at the expenditures and how things are so expensive, I ask myself, but why we cannot go back to butter?
Yo,
Why?
I agree with you on that.
To butter.
Who stopping us?
Why did we become,
Nobody yet.
why did we become so greedy that we had to put a value or price to something, have to make me go to work 8 to 4? When I think about it, the next time I find that person, I beating them. Because why would you put me in 2025 to live in those type of struggles? You know? That's how I feel about paycheck to paycheck.
Ashton, what do you think about paycheck to paycheck?
Paycheck to paycheck, boy, wow, that one is a stressor. I, for one, have been in a number of different situations in the past where, boy, it just didn't have enough. You see people going out there and they're getting it good, and you wonder, like, but what really going on there? Like, you know.
You know what Bobo will do to get him good.
But that's what I'm saying.
True.
Because I know you're making less than me, but you're out there partying like they have no tomorrow. The Hennessy flowing, the ladies coming.
Because for them, they have no tomorrow.
I think about this the wrong way, you know.
It's true.
But basically, you know, like Miss T here pointed out, don't even start. Yeah, it is very important to budget. I've learned that the hard way. It's very important to budget. Budgeting definitely is life. As per, if you guys look up the statistics, I think it's, I have to quote this, there's over 57% of the world actually lives paycheck to paycheck right now. And of course, it's higher in the US because things are crazy over
Yeah,
there.
it's about 63 to 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
And that's irregardless of being minimum wage or top earner.
Yeah.
So,
So it doesn't even matter how much you make or what you do. It's just really a state of, you know, understanding that you need to live within your means and try as much as possible to stick with a budget.
Right.
That is the real starter, right?
Yeah,
But
but
you do experience unexpected expenses because, for example, if my son falls sick, I didn't budget for doctor that month. Or if, you know, maybe some other finances come up I didn't budget for. Yeah, it sets you back a bit.
Oh boy,
So-
why are someone so sad about paycheck to paycheck?
Because it's a sad thing.
all right, so
Let me ask a question.
here's the question I'll ask you, especially Ashton. You said that a while ago, that 57% of the world lives paycheck to paycheck, and you said 60 to 70%. All right? But if we have to look at the entire world, from the poorest of the poor that work for a living. So I would say I would go to the lower castes in India that catch rats in the fields for pennies on the dollar just to help the farmers out, but they're so low that they can't even spend their money, so they have to use those rats as food. To these billionaires who have 3 yachts because they're so high powered that they have to have 3 identical yachts, so they don't know which one they're on and on whatnot and whatnot. And some of these people still live on credit, which is even further back than paycheck to paycheck.
You say they still live on credit.
So they live on credits. All right? But hold on. What do you think is the problem with people living from paycheck to paycheck? Because is it that they just can't make ends meet? Or like Ashton said, they're living above their means and allowing society and the community around them to influence what they think they should be living their life as and what they actually should be living their life as, and understanding that you might not be able to get the iPhone 16, but you can get an iPhone 11. It's still a phone. It might not be the latest, but you need a phone.
That's the whole thing. That's nobody want that.
No, but that's the thing. That's the mentality. But if you need a phone in today's world to communicate, not even for social media, why not think, as much as I would like, let me put my pride aside and let me get this. As much as I would like a Jordan for my son, I can't afford a Jordan, let me get him an Adidas or Puma, or hell, Firefox or one of the other shoes that we all know when we were younger. All right? Give me your thoughts on
I
that.
kind of think it's a combination of those two things, though. Like, I don't think it's just them. I don't think it's just people living above their means, but I also think it's what society makes people believe how they should be living their life, and they want to aspire to do that. So they're trying to live above their means to meet that so-called standard.
The socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of living within their means and move in silence. Because my thing about it is, like, if you live within your means and move in silence, you can achieve and get all those things that you want. You just have to bite the bullet a little bit longer at the bottom until you can reach there. Everybody gets there at some point. It's harder to do when you're trying to be something that you're not.
All right, so you talk about living above your means, but who sold you that dream? If today you notice, I have free change and some bling bling on me, you know,
Big boss.
and a fancy watch, So let me ask you a question. What's the difference between this chain, that chain, and this one right there?
Not them real.
The number of girls.
I'm sorry.
That should be down.
Carl.
The thing is, I don't think anyone sold it to us. I think it's no, listen. I think it's there for consumption, and we decided to pick the fruit. Because there are people in this world who can see it and decide, no, this is what I want. I cannot live that means because I have goals, I have aspirations. I want a house. I want to make sure my kids go to the best school. I want to do that. So I will put the Zessin or the latest phone or the always going out to dinner aside because I have goals to make. And then you budget, like you said, you budget properly. Yeah, you do have the unforeseen things that come up, which is life, but you save. Sometimes people invest. And remember, some of the wealthiest people today started from nothing.
Exactly.
From living below, not knowing where their next paycheck is, to being able to just do what they please.
But we're not going to talk about how some of them get there too, huh?
We'll get to that part.
We'll get to that part.
We'll get to that part.
Brings into the fact of I also think that financial literacy or financial management is something that a lot of us don't know about, and it's something that needs to be taught to people, and they don't teach us anything about this. You don't learn this until you finally start to make money. Some people don't even learn this at all. They now touch what I consider real money. They get in a nice, better paycheck and everything, something that they've never had before, probably their parents never had before. And it's like, they don't know how to deal. They don't know how to manage their money. They just, exactly, they don't know how to act. They newcomer to this shit. So they're just doing whatever they want with the money. And then by the time they blink, the end of the month reach and they're like, oh shit.
Where my money gone?
Where my money gone? Like, what am I going to do? Until they get paid, they're like, you know, just eating cricks and cheese until they could make it to payday. Well, whatever, but just cricks and water, whatever the case is. We don't know but my point is that financial management and financial literacy is something that people need to know about, because it's not just about budgeting and saving. It's also learning how to invest the money that you saved. Because saving means nothing if you didn't invest it.
True.
Everybody investing every day, you know.
Oh, no.
Investing my
When I mean investing, I mean growing your money. Making your money work for you and growing that money.
I disagree with that.
You can disagree all you want, but it's the facts.
The investing you're talking about is like stocks, bonds, a business. Right. But you can also invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, let me explain. It's money,
Well, that's
but
great for you. I hope it's insured and nobody don't try to thief it from you and you could get money back if it's stolen.
No, but
that's all I'm saying. Move smart with your money. I'm not saying that you can't invest in yourself. Don't get this twisted. That is great. Invest in yourself. I'm not saying don't invest in yourself. Don't look at yourself. What I'm saying is people need to move smarter with money. And the biggest problem or the biggest issue that a lot of people have on a whole is that they are not smart with their money. They make it and it gone before you could even blink. Half your money gone to bills or whatever other miscellaneous things that you want.
yeah, or the hairy banks.
Or whatever your vice is where your money is being spent. But what I'm saying is that people need to learn how to invest their money in things that will make their money work for them.
That's why persons who win the lottery, the money goes in a split
They usually
second
end up worse than they
because
started.
Oh, for sure.
Within 1 year, it's guaranteed
they're-
that almost 95% of them end up worse than they were before they had the money.
So
Because they don't know how to act. That goes right back to my point. They don't know how to act. They become newcomer to this money. They don't know how to act.
Quick pause. There was a situation in the States where this billionaire oil tycoon won the lottery of over $300 million, not once, not twice, but 3 times. He gave it away all 3 times to charity because he said he doesn't need the money.
I didn't know you need to play lotto.
So why you playing lotto?
That's what I want to know.
I don't know if his wife was the one that was buying the tickets and put it on his name just because.
They say lottery is actually a tax on poor people, you know, because that's the people that really drive the lottery.
Oh yeah, for sure.
for sure.
And it's those same people that win the winnings don't know what to do with it. Back again, financial literacy, financial management. You don't need to. You have a car. Fix your shit. Invest half your money.
What about my ribs? I didn't.
Who taught you how to
So I guess before
But it's out there. It's called reading and understanding. I didn't know half the things I knew until I started realizing that you're saving your money, but the bank's only giving you cents every couple of months or a tiny $2 here or $3 there. You save your money in a credit union, they're giving you a couple of more dollars than the bank giving you. But if you decided to put some of your money in a fixed deposit and it grows some interest, and you send it back around on the cycle again, and you send it back around on the cycle again. When you really need the money to do what you have to do, or when you need to do it, you have the money, it's there.
That's still putting money.
It's not, I'm not specifically stating in the bank. There's other ways you could do it. If you make enough money, right? I was just giving an example. When you save up enough money.
You talk about investment. Creators Alliance is an investment.
Well, I'm not speaking about them. Them is not a proper platform. I will not say the platform that I was going to shout out, but I will not say that. That is a Ponzi scheme. I will not digress onto that. Thanks.
Who determines that?
What happened to the people that invested in it and never getting money? Okay then.
But hold on, but Wall Street is that means Wall Street is a Ponzi scheme too.
In things that I am not willing.
No, but listen, Wall Street is a Ponzi scheme as well.
Well, we're not talking about Wall Street. I'm not investing in Wall Street neither.
So how the Creators Alliance take a hold of so many St. Lucian pockets, even though you could tell them?
I almost invested in Creators Alliance, and the Lord God Almighty saved me before my money could have gotten to it. Yeah.
I know people who benefited from it, and I know people who did very poorly in
Who
it.
bought vehicles, who extended
Yes,
on
that's
their
what I
homes.
know as well.
But then when it trickled down and the Ponzi scheme, like it always do, starts to slow down, that's where they pull the plug on everything. Because they made all the money they had to make.
Creators Alliance, the definition of success. What in Creators Alliance make you think that people would give you 100% return on investment within 1 month period that you not see that they're not making sense?
Because the first set of people were what they were called again? The poster kids. They had the money. Yeah, they were the bait. They had the money so that the people started investing. Like, I give $100 US, look, I get $500 US, I get 400 and some US, and they're going through. But now you, of course, because like a lottery, you're poor, you're making money. Boy, Jason, boy, Ashton, boy, we're making some people, let's start. And then we start going down the line. And then when they have all the bait and all the fish they needed to have, and they put they got their budget. This is what we need to aim for. App shut down, everything.
Toast to the house never loses. The odds are always in favor of the house. The Gambling House Creators Alliance.
I see, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, before voice of production comes in, y'all spoke on, well, Carol spoke on persons who they budget, or Ashton as well, who don't live within their means, right? But I wanted to touch on persons who work hard. We have a lot of hardworking people, and there are times when they feel as if this month I want to sacrifice this because I just want to be a little selfish, right? And that's when Jason invests in his bling. You understand?
You want some girls?
Ashton bought, because the world has made us believe that we're supposed to work, and not enjoy the monies. We never have the time to actually enjoy.
Because we refuse to make the time.
Yes.
If your priority is straight, you will make time for what you think is important.
So it's
Work until
also
you're dead to
nice
pay bills.
Understand that you must
Not it.
treat yourself
Exactly.
from time to time.
That's what I said a while ago. All right, so let's just say Jason wants to treat himself. So instead of literally stretching his wallet to breaking point and getting that big bling, no, hold on, instead of getting that big bling, but he wants a chain, why not get something a little smaller? Why not get something a little smaller? All right, you treat yourself, just not to the extreme you want it.
Suppose he bought one every month. So in the next 3 months, he has bought 3 different chains, right?
And was even
So he decided he wanted to treat himself every month. So he put aside his money to treat himself every month. Nothing ain't wrong with that. I just do that for myself.
No, but
nothing ain't wrong with that. No, well, so he sacrificed 3 months to be able to do that in 1 month.
We touched on persons living outside of their means and not within it. And I'm saying that sometimes you have to live a little. You have to make yourself happy, because if not, and that's why I'm of the perception
but why
that
is it that material things are what we consider make us happy?
Material things. We use his chain as an example, but it could.
But that's still a material thing. Yes, it is. Yes, it
Never
is.
been to Costa Rica before. Suppose I wanted to go to Mexico, Punta Cana, somewhere different.
I am of the belief that a wealthy person told me that it's better to order bank. It is better
Facts.
to order banks than to
Use your own money.
That person have shares in the bank.
No.
No, but I'm
That
telling
person
you,
have shares in the
all
bank.
persons with money
logic says
do not
when I
use
die,
their money.
My debt dying with me.
Yes.
So you don't have to remember anything.
My debt dying with
think
me.
you're not coming
It
for your
depends
house?
on what type of loan you're taking,
Fam.
right?
Any
That's
assets
the
you have,
smartest
you
thing.
split it up.
It is better to pay, but
But
listen,
with the government,
if you have $45,000 in your account, you want to purchase a vehicle, right? You think you're going to take your $45,000?
No, you're going to the bank for a loan.
You can take a loan. Why is that?
Pause.
People that do that.
Yeah, but why is that?
But okay, pause. You have $35,000 in the bank. You only buy a car for $30,000. You rather go to the bank.
I will.
Okay.
Going to the bank.
At the end of paying that $30,000, you've paid back the bank $48,000. You know.
Not in one go.
Not in one go,
Not
and
in
you're
one
still
go.
able
So
to
question.
get money for
All right. So here's the thing. Why not?
would you use
Why
money?
not take that? Let me pose a question to you. Why not take that $30,000, buy the car, see what you would have paid back the bank monthly, and pay yourself that back in your savings?
People are not disciplined enough to
Thank
to
you.
save the money.
Thank you. That is the biggest thing. They're
No,
not disciplined
if you
enough.
save $35,000, you're disciplined enough.
So you saying that they're disciplined enough to do that? Thank you.
Because we don't pay anything. Right? So that topic is something that everybody needs to understand. So
Right.
we can stick to responding.
Sure.
Yeah, so can I take the first one? I would like to say is that with discipline. If you're looking at discipline, everybody will feel there. What you need is to understand what you're saving your money for, and then everything else will melt away. If you're saving for that car and you get that car, you still have to buy tires for that car. you still have to put oil in that car, you still have to pay your license at the end of the month. Do you see exactly what the car costs you past the 45,000?
But that's why you take the loan and you leave the 45 in the bank.
Facts.
Why can't I just buy a $20,000 car instead of a
Covering all the other
$45,000?
Because the $20,000 car going to cost you more problems than the $30,000 car. You'll have to change parts.
Let's just say no.
You'll have to change parts.
Okay, not
You'll have
necessarily.
to change, but it would be an older model,
Yeah. So
which means it will come with more issues.
no, not necessarily.
Okay, buy the old car.
Now you see what I think our actions cannot be any wiser than our thinking, and our thoughts can be no wiser than our understanding. Why the $20,000 car cannot last as well as the $100,000 BMW?
I do not. Why would I buy? Now you overdoing it.
Exaggerated.
Yeah, you really exaggerated there. Like, let's bring it down a notch. Ain't nobody trying to buy no BMW.
Choose between a sustainable vehicle versus an old vehicle. I'll take the one that will. For a couple years, I don't have to worry about how I'm paying for servicing or tires, as you may call it, or brakes or whatever, because I invested in that. So I know for the next how many months or how many years, I don't have to worry about that. But if I buy a $20,000 vehicle, it's more likely that I will have to spend more in a faster period than if I bought a good vehicle.
So let me give you interesting statistics. Most people in St. Lucia, first loan of any significance is actually a vehicle loan.
Because it's the fastest loan to get. The banks don't want to give you loans to buy houses.
No, they don't.
They'd rather give you $100,000.
It is less calamity for them to give you a vehicle
Set
loan.
us up for that. They don't want us to own property.
There's another factor that we're forgetting. If you buy the vehicle with your cash money versus you buy the vehicle with a loan, if the vehicle breaks down, you can go back to taking your bus until you can afford to fix it. If you pay that loan for 2 months because something happened to you, your vehicle is gone.
It's gone anyways. It's
All
gone
right?
because I can't fix it.
No, it's gone.
It's gone
But
because
if you have it there and you can't fix it this month or next month, it's still there. You save your money, you get it repaired, and you're back on the
But
road.
Carol, I know people that rather get their vehicles repossessed and when they get back on their feet, buy a new vehicle
One person I like
and
to
leave the
ask,
vehicle for the bank
Okay,
to
how
sell
many- how
and
many vehicles
make
you
their
have
monies
own?
on. 3,000.
how many vehicles you own?
3,000.
Three.
3?
Yeah.
How many vehicles you own in your life?
In my life,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 5.
How many vehicles you own?
What? Y'all have a lot. Well, that's all I gotta say. None.
Okay, I had a Honda Civic, 3 Mitsubishi Lancers, a BMW, and a D-Max Ion 6. The price matters to a point if you figure out your servicing of the vehicle and how you're going to manage that. So that thing about a 20,000 vehicle cannot last more than a 35 because I needed because I needed a D-Max. Because I needed a D-Max.
Why did you, in fact, that's personal.
Go ahead, ask me why. I needed
No,
a D-Max.
I'm not going to do that, sir, because I wouldn't want you to ask me that.
Ask me why I bought a D-Max.
I'm just saying, what I want to ask you is why didn't you purchase
I'm not looking for
the Yaris?
I bought
You
the
should have
D-Max.
bought the Yaris because it would have lasted you.
No.
No?
Ask me why I bought the D-Max.
Why you bought the
buy the
D-Max?
D-Max?
I bought the D-Max because it contributed to my bottom line. So it wasn't how much it cost me to own it, how much it cost me if I did not get that vehicle.
But you opposing the point that I made when I say it is better to buy a vehicle that will sustain you as opposed to buying a vehicle that will not.
This thing heavy, man. What's the point?
That's why I took it off, because you see these
Why?
springs?
Because he's saying he bought the D-Max because he needed it. Not that he just wanted a pickup.
To flash and see.
All right? He needed it. So maybe he has a business that it allows him to carry stuff or pull stuff.
No,
Because
solution
that's
for
too
carrying
much.
things.
And some of the older
You should have bought an older pickup, like a Corolla. That's an old pickup, right?
Corolla?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a car, my love.
As a car,
That's a sedan.
I'm okay with that area. I'm a lady. So I guess it's just area.
Okay, so voice of production. Let's go back to the paycheck to paycheck concept, and I put it into the floor. Paycheck to paycheck, all of us, most of us, or all of us, I would say, we don't suffer from a low wage, right? I know it's subjective, but we're going on the absolute low wage, right? And then we know some of us grew up in environments where we saw our parents do a lot with very little. You understand? And they were able to get by. You were able to get to go to school. You were able to do everything, and so on and so forth, right? But for some reason, us now, adulting, right, we have great difficulty navigating with even more than what our parents have. Do you think it's a situation whereby at the end of the day is living above your means, or there's a cultural shift that causing us to have that, not necessarily having the ability to do the same thing that they did?
Define the cultural shift.
Cultural shift. Let me give you an example. For example, you may have grown up, not necessarily your mother, but probably your grandmother, and them probably going out to country and western dance with the mothers and fathers group. Them kind of things. Or when you're having your soirees, your parties, used to be a house party here, everybody bring a bottle, that kind of life, that kind of lifestyle. There was this way of life that you were able to balance your entertainment, your leisure, and have your finances met without not without trouble, not without his own issues, but at the end of the day, nobody was struggling.
Yes.
But yet still we're in a society now where by the metrics, everybody's earning more. But yet still, we are complaining more that we don't have money.
Well, we are earning more, but the prices of things are increasing.
No, but
our salaries
no,
are
but the
not
prices of things move in accordance to the rate of inflation. So, for example, back then, when your grandparents was doing things, $100 was their salary for the month. You understand? That is our case now, and it's the same easy dollar, right? But what I'm getting at is that there was a mentality that the old folk had that we have not adopted. You understand? There's a mentality and an approach, right? To give you a simple example, all of us now have Netflix and all the other streaming platforms, and then we don't flow old cable. Get where I'm coming from? But flow old cable was $55. You understand? Was $55. I'm just giving you an example. It was $55. But yet still you'll go and subscribe for your Netflix, which is $12 US there, and your the Hulu's, right? By the time you check all your subscriptions, you have a whole shit ton of things that money that you're spending.
But which is equivalent to the flow box right now.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Like what, one something? 145?
You really think it's equivalent?
Yeah, but
Let me tell you why it's not equivalent.
you pay.
How many times do you use the multiple apps that you go on to watch something?
Well, I can
Every
speak
day.
for myself. I only
Every day.
have like the streaming platform. I'm only subscribed to Netflix. So I watch Netflix.
So look at what I did.
Pardon?
So look at me what I did. So
Thank you. I would prefer to subscribe and get what I want to watch.
I understand. I understand. But then,
Me paying
But then-
that $100, they make
but
any
then-
sense.
but then, hear me out. When it comes to the programs that Netflix doesn't carry, what do you do?
you have to get another subscription, of course.
Well,
Yeah, well, I only pay for 2 subscriptions. And what me and my friends and my family do is that each person pay a subscription for one thing, and then we share the password,
password.
and the
That's
information.
smart.
So
That's smart.
everybody pay for one thing, and we all share what we have to share, and then we watch what we want to
That's
watch.
lucky.
Right? And so that we don't have to pay those exorbitant fees of having subscriptions for every single thing.
can work out your subscriptions to a way.
The companies are cutting back on that, so
Yes, I know, but you have to find a way to find a loophole. I won't say it on this podcast, but there are loopholes
my
to
greater
that.
point is that we have the paycheck to paycheck situation, right? And we all know it's coming. We all know that at the end of the work month, unless your job is a by the hour job, you're getting a set amount of money, right? But yet still, we are never prepared to deal with the fact that, okay, at the end of the month from that said job, that's all I'm going to get. What are we doing to not have that effect of where we have to only rely on that set amount of money? What are we doing? What is it that we're supposed to be doing differently that we don't have to rely on it? Is it changing the job would help you? I don't think changing the job.
No,
Is it more
No,
lighting
but
out
there's
help you? What is it?
sacrifices that people have to
Along with
make.
sacrificing, there are institutions because they do have a lot of business-minded persons, but you do not get the right support, investments to probably start up the businesses or ideas that you want, or you're
Or it's
unable
hard to
meet
do
the
in the
platforms
Caribbean.
yes, that as well. You don't have the resources rather to do that, right? Let me speak from my personal experience. At the age of 16 years, my very first proposal was to make to have an electronical billboard by Leo's, that's next to Slasper. And I went at 16 years, I met with, I wrote my little proposal. I went to speak to the owner at the time. It was a Kajada. I don't remember his first name, a grown up man. And he said to me, well, and I bargained with him. I said to him, if you permit me to put the billboard, here's my proposal, here's my architectural drawing for my proposal. I still have that email of my drawing till this day. That was my first proposal. I showed him my plans and I said to him, I would cover this. If I'm covering your top floor with my billboards, it would be alongside like this. I would cover the electricity fees along with my rent to occupy the space, right? And maybe at the time it wasn't smart, whatever, but again, 16 years, to me, it's brilliant. You know what I'm saying? I'm going with it. And he said to me, brilliant, he loves the idea. The only problem is DCA. I'm like, screw DCA, man. I got this. DCA ain't got shit on me. Because at the time, I didn't even understand what DCA was.
Explain.
Yeah. I met this gentleman. He helped me with, of course I had to pay with whatever I pay, how much fees, whatever. Boom bam, my thing go up to planning to only find out that it never got approved. And the reason that they gave me is because the mayor at the time was trying to discourage marketing in the city. First of all, how can you discourage marketing within the city? Right? You understand? So that's demotivation right there for me at the age of 16. I could have been at my home clocking in 10, 20K a month.
Doing what?
The billboards.
Just running ads.
Running ads. At 16.
Wow.
This one is only billboards.
It was 2 billboards because the plan was persons overlooking the cruise ship. You could see the billboards. You coming in or exiting Cash Street, you must see the
billboard,
because
yeah.
of the location.
That would have been a perfect
would
spot.
have been perfect. And you think if I was in the States and I brought that proposal,
You would have get approved long time.
I would have
Or they might have declined your proposal but stolen your idea.
that as well. That's
and make somebody else make the same money
Yeah.
that you was trying to do.
So
Have
I'm
you ever
using
had
this.
ideas like that of things being stolen by these same institutions in St. Lucia?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's possible.
Well, not just in St.
I've never
Lucia.
heard of it, but it is
Everywhere I've lived, I've heard of this.
Yeah, I know plenty
And
of
so
people.
it's
ridiculous.
One of them.
It goes to say that how do I put it? The time now, the day we're living in, how do I put this? How do I phrase this, guys? The era, the present day that we're living in, it maybe I might be wrong because I haven't been given the avenues to do what I need to do or the startup funds to do it. But I do not think that it presents enough opportunities for persons to become financially independent.
And I think the concept of what it will take for us as regular Joes to be financially independent and free, I think it's almost like that fairy tale of Santa Claus and the ghost stories that you hear about and so on and so on. And let me explain why I would say that. If you look at the persons that we will look up and see that they have, we look at them and you see their wealthy and anything, and they give you their life story. It seems like something that will help you and that'll motivate you and I'll give you the impetus for you to be able to do. But there are parts of that story that they will have to leave out. They would leave out. And I'm not trying to slight anybody in any way, shape, or form. But in the world of business in general, like at 16, if you had a bullheaded approach, if you understood the concept of having a bullheaded approach for business, right? There's no way you would have been denied, right? Because some of what you will have to do to attain what you want is not illegal per se, but it will have to be,
I have to persuade
people,
Yeah.
butter somebody
But for
hand.
you to have that, you have to have a tough background. You have to come from maybe an affluent family.
I mean, we've been real in the
It's who
conversation.
you
right?
know. Sometimes it might
You've been-
not even be affluent.
You've been real in the conversation, right? if anybody asks me,
I'll have to go to Haiti.
if anybody asks me, and I go in
my
heavy on
God.
that.
We say we're being real.
I do not believe that you could be wealthy and be on the straight and narrow.
That's a fact. I believe
Agreed.
that. I believe that.
Take me apart if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Sure about that.
This goes back to another thing.
To be really
What do you
Yes.
what do you consider wealthy?
No.
Because
I
can be happy making $100,000 a
Carol,
month.
you know what I'm talking about.
and be
You know what I'm
wealthy.
talking about. I'm not being fearless. I'm not trying to be philosophical.
All right, so
I'm telling you, the person that have the coin.
So listen to me. In the world of business, you have to be cutthroat. Speaking to a lot of guys who are wealthy, and not them directly saying it, but hearing them talk about it, you cannot be a good boy or person and be wealthy because there are ruthless people out there. If at the bottom we can talk about business ideas that were stolen and stopped from us, what do you think would happen when you climb into the top with people who have more money than you, who might see the advantage of what you're trying to do and try to take the profit for themselves?
Now, I like to raise a point. To what you say, to be real wealthy, you have to understand something. You have to almost be a little bit pathological if you're thinking. You cannot be somebody who goes with the norm, and you have to see things that the average person not seeing. A lot of people get in through the back door underneath everybody radar, the real wealthy people. What they do, they saw an opportunity that nobody believed existed, and they had enough time to sit with it and become too big before the real big players jumping on them. Oil, gas, AI, social media. At some point, somebody will try and muscle in on you. That's when you need to be cutthroat. But you have to have that kind of grit to understand they really have something there that nobody not paying attention to. And I think I can exploit it. We in the Caribbean and the US, as African people, complaining about slavery that was 100 years ago. The Europeans used to enslave themselves before they came to Africa. My simple question is, what they used to exploit in us then that we cannot exploit in ourselves right now, and we're still crying behind them looking for reparations? We still have the chains on our necks. We still need to take the car. We have to work for money just to pay for the car to get to the job. How about that? My first experience with money was at university when my mother gave me $400 to live in a month. And she said, you have one semester. If you fail, you get a ticket to come back to St. Lucia. I am making through the first month on that $400. Every day I have to eat fast food because I don't know how to cook. When I have to go and buy my little handouts and thing. But at the end of the month, I could still remember vividly what I thought. I thought I was not managing myself properly, and I never thought for 1 second that they wasn't giving me enough money. I think some people just need to change. They really have some people in Africa and India and right here in St. Lucia that really did poor and they're not making enough. But there are a lot of us who riding that excuse as if we still 10 years old and we don't have any money when we have more enough to survive. We have to change from I need more some people to I have enough, especially with consumerism. How many times you buy that new chain or that new car and then 2 days later you back to the same feeling of want, need, and regret? Is it really a money problem or a psychological lack inside of us?
And I think that actually touches on something that we didn't discuss it, but you did just say a while ago. Social media and social media influencers. That's one. These people are there to make you feel like, you don't have enough, you're not enough. Be it your size, your
They're
skin
not.
tone,
They're
your
not there
complexion,
to make you
whatever.
feel that way. But
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are though. Because that's
their job.
That's the story that they portraying to you all the
Look at
time.
television, listen to radio, look at the billboards. They brainwashing it.
Thank you.
You need an iPhone.
You need it.
You need that certain brand to wear.
You need it.
You need that certain cologne, that perfume.
You need it.
We are
So
brainwashed on social media, on
hold on.
TV, and radio.
I'll go back to what Jason just said. Why do we have to think we don't have enough and not that we need to reprogram
Yeah,
ourselves?
but you're making it sound like it's so easy when you're being bombarded from it in 4, 5, 6 different
Put it this way,
directions. Like,
working at
come on.
corporate, right? you already programmed to go to A-level. There are other options, you know. We born to be in debt. We're naturally born to be in debt, you know.
Listen, just tonight, while I was preparing for the podcast, setting up the lights and stuff, the television is on Division Network. That's the thing my mom watch, right? And the ads coming on. And I'm standing there, I'm listening to an ad for medication, right? It's for COPD. It's for COPD, right? And I'm hearing what it's curing about the COPD, but in a separate voice, I heard 20 other things that it causes. Right? And then she said something that was kind of profound. You know, when you watch television, all you've seen is insurance, credit cards, medication. Lawyers. When you think of the market that people, what they market to you, right? You don't see a Sears ad like you would have seen before to buy things on at Sears or something, or at Casey's or those things. You see more of those kind of ads because the service-based industry of sorts, or fix the problem industry, I should just put it that way, right, is what's running the world in a way. And all of us have a problem. Each and every one of us have a problem.
But that's boxing 101. Create a problem and provide a solution.
Hold on. Let me pose something to you. I personally haven't watched TV in over 10 years. I go online. Hold on. I go online. I use whatever it is. But every social media outlet has an algorithm because it learns the viewer. So if you want to stop seeing the things that trick you into, I seen this person traveling and they gone first class and they have this and that and the other. If I open my TikTok, my Instagram, and my Facebook now, I guarantee you'll freak out on what you see. Because I program it to what I want to see. So everything, because it checks the seconds you watch, how long you watch. So if you keep skipping and the things you stop on, which is what you want to see, eventually you're going to start to see the things that you need. But at the end of the day,
you're still falling in the loop though.
But you're falling in the loop for the right consumption of information.
I mean, you determine that for yourself because you are that self-aware. What I'm trying to tell you is that at the end of the day, what you consuming, whatever you consume, you cannot evade it. You cannot evade, no matter what you say, the control is there. The mere fact that it will feed you more of what you want to see, it's not you in control. It's not you in control.
But you're not getting what I'm talking about.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But what I'm trying to tell you, at the end of the day, no matter how you try to spin it or twist it, right? Whatever is being fed for you, social media is 10 times worse than television.
Yeah,
it is 10 times worse than television. Because at the end of the day, on television, they do not have the ability to dictate what the audience watch. They can't force it. They could have a general idea. Right. But social media is you and what your patterns dictate. True. So whatever your patterns dictate to them, they know how to feed you. And then before you check yourself, you're on this retreat because you know you're in your spiritual phase, you're in this retreat in Timbuktu, you're somewhere doing something that you didn't in your mind think that you will be doing in 10 years. Not that you shouldn't. Right? It's just that you think that you're evading and you're escaping, but you're actually part of the mix. What we need to do is to adjust and recognize to ourselves that I do not believe in the concept of living to paycheck. I'm not saying that all of us cannot get to do the things that we have to do, but we have to be intentional. Right? Most of us are not intentional with our actions. We just kind of like, we just going with the flow.
If I win the lottery today,
if that
man take care of me, that would be so nice.
You have to be intentional. And that's what I think that is missing. You said financial management. I agree. To a degree, you have to have proper financial management. But no financial management can tell you how to make an extra dollar if you do not go out and make that extra dollar.
No, I get you with that, but I just find sometimes a lot of us mismanage our money.
No, I don't disagree with you.
A lot.
I don't disagree with you.
Which is why I say we need to be trained to do so.
Yeah, if you are trained in whichever aspect it is, whatever field that you go into, you are trained to go into that field. Your parents tell you, hey, you need to go to school to get a good job. So you go, you get a good job.
But it's not until I'm talking about when you become when you living on your own, that's when you
That's your first instance of you not in a home to manage your needs.
Exactly.
What about the restrictions we look for? It's like, for example, restrictions in terms of work days, 8 hours, right?
I heard you say something else, but
yeah.
Restrictions are like that.
Yeah, restrictions. You have to work 8 hours a day. Sometimes your work day, get your work done in 2 hours, 3 hours, right? It stops you from having a second job. Like in America, some people
Time out. It doesn't stop you from having a second job. You can still manage to do something.
In America?
Or in the Caribbean.
Let's not even start with that. Let's not even start with that.
Anyways,
Because you know, let me explain to you. Okay, you know what? I'll go there. We have this concept of this great white America, you know, this place of freedom and everything and everything is. Emmy, you have to go to your first job. You need to get out of your bed at 4 o'clock, right? Take a train for 4 hours to commute to your job. We ain't talking about going back yet.
That's your boss, right?
We are talking about going back to your home yet.
You're clocking there.
That's first world.
No, I'm just giving you an example because it's the most relatable thing, right?
They still have the resources for people like me if I give my billboard idea.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell you, when you think that the opportunities, and I'm not trying to bash anybody about their choices. I want to make it known I'm not bashing anybody for their choices. My philosophy is, if you can't make it in the land of your birth, and you think that you can make it somewhere else, I believe that's the wrong approach. That's me personally.
Yes, I am literally making it in your country. I couldn't do what I
because of the opportunities
over there.
Because of the opportunities, you go abroad, you make the monies, and you come back and you.
Yeah, but then you know what happens? You know what happens to people? You know what happens to people when they, and there's nothing wrong in that mindset. Imagine you go out there and you're slaving. That's what I'm calling it. You're slaving to make America great. Only for them to not to classify you first and foremost as one of them, Only for them not to classify you as one of them. You work your ass off, not to be for you to be classified as an alien, right? Then at the end of the day, you take your well-earned monies, retirement, whatever you want to call it, you build your little condo in St. Lucia, and so on and so forth, because in your mind, that is your retirement. Why do you think that's your retirement? Because at the end of the day, what you have here, you could not have up there. And I'm not exaggerating. Tell me if I'm making sense. You could not have it up there. So if it was such a great option to go up there, and that's not necessarily true. And what you said something a while ago about the opportunities. I think the problem, and being in my elevated self, I would say, I recognize that what you don't get is not because
It's not there.
it's not because it's not there. It's because you just didn't know how to get it.
Now, you touched on that immigrant thing. Immigrant
Yes.
is a phenomenon, Whenever somebody understands that they have a limited amount of time and they go to another country, usually the people there, irrespective of race or class, do not see because they get sensory numbness over time what opportunities might be right in front of them. You never notice some people come in here, they see a beach. Today the beach looking like nothing, and then tomorrow you have a hotel there, or you have some theme park, or you have a rental space, and then somebody come and say, I want to rent that for 200. You say, take that garbage, I really have nothing to do with it. Then you see that person have a meat shop there or some weird idea. They say, boy, I never thought in my life that I would have worked there. And the person get muscled out of the idea, and then they try to run that same business idea on their property, and it fails. Or, see that thing you say about people coming back to St. Lucia and building house? That's a dream. Imagine you sending your money back to your brother to build your house, and you come and find 2 pieces of stick. and you ask your brother, where are you, Raggy? And there's a mystery for Scooby-Doo. That's things that happen to people all the time, all the time. And then they have to go back to living paycheck to paycheck. And the standard of living, no matter how bad America may seem, even though it's a little corrupt with healthcare and whatnot, it's a lot. It's still better than what we have down here. Some people say you go to Victoria and they cut off your wrong leg.
That happens in America too, but yeah, that's good.
Happens anyway.
You see, we're in a small island, so everything is magnified. I think so. We have to take that for what it is.
Like how Americans
right? So yeah. Not just that, huh?
Yeah, we're like, oh my God.
Or that no one is on the shoes. Or they don't have homeless
But listen to me.
people.
Listen to this dynamic. Listen to this dynamic, right?
He has homeless.
We watch America, the land of the free, whatever you want to call it. And I'm using America because it's the most visited out of the Caribbean. That's what we do most of the times. Most of the time. Am I right or am I wrong? Can we all agree on that?
Just
Right.
Everybody,
So when you think about it, right? You leave St. Lucia, you go in for the land of opportunity. And I'm not going to tell you that you don't get opportunities there. But imagine you had this respectable job in St. Lucia. You travel over there, right? Thinking that you'll get that opportunity. And then you end up becoming a babysitter. Nothing wrong with that.
You're making more money.
Huh? You know,
Give me a true story.
yeah. It's not. You say you're making more money. You say you're making more money. But here's the funny thing about it. You move to New York. You move to New York. You're making $3,000 US at the end of the week.
That's not the figure.
Right? Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell you, your apartment building is 1 to a week or whatever it is that you have to pay. Huh?
For a little.
Yeah, for your little thing, and you're living in somebody's basement.
And then
You-
3 months advance.
Hey, that's it. That is your sacrifice, people. I'm not telling you that's not your sacrifice. And then at the end of the day, for your brother that you have that tell you the in St. Lucia to send him a little Western Union, and you send him $200 and tell me, that you send him for me? That's what I look like? Because in them, they don't know what you're going through. But they're looking at you as if like you got that space, you're in a place of opportunity. That's what you told them.
But they don't.
That's how.
Box they live in.
They don't know you're living in a shoebox. They don't know how you're struggling. They don't know that the fact that the opportunity that you want to look for yourself. Sometimes you end up selling your freaking body. Nobody don't know what you're doing for you to be able to make who is buying. You understand? But at the end of the day, all they're seeing is that you said that you're going to make it, and now you feel obligated to do it by whatever means necessary, right? And the sacrifices that you could have been making in your own land,
Country.
you have to go and do it. You're going to do it over there, not because the money is better, just because at the end of the day, just because you made that decision to make that move. I don't know if you'll ever notice, there is this man, this white man, that took his family, came to St. Lucia, he loved the land, whatever it is, right? And he's busking by the roadside with his guitar. He's not a great singer. He's not a great singer, right? He's not a great singer, but he's busking, right? Ask any musician there if they will have the balls or the gonads to do exactly what we're doing. They will not do it.
Well, usually now they beneath them.
Yeah, what?
Beneath them.
Yeah, you look at it beneath them. But what they do realize is that's a market that's unexplored. We will leave St. Lucia, we will go to Manhattan, and then we'll see the roadside performers, and
Same thing.
you'll chip in. And those fellas go in and they live in proper because that's their hustle, that's their job. But we don't want to do those things because it's beneath us. But then we'll leave St. Lucia and we'll go and do it elsewhere.
Well, that was my arrangement. I was living school in Canada and I could have stayed up there and decided to get my PR. I chose to come home. I told my parents I'm not living in no basement apartment when I could come home and live in my room for free. Like literally almost for free, because all I would be doing is chipping in a bill here and there. Why would I go and suffer in some other person's country, living with family members in the house, not saying that they would treat me any kind of way.
Right.
But 99.9% of the time family members going to tell you, so when you leaving or what bill you planning to pay this month, and asking you when you getting a job and whatever. They want you to take whatever job is available instead of letting you find your footing. I couldn't do that at home, so I chose to go back home.
I was about to say my mother was a family member. So what you doing there? You have to go get a job. You have to pay rent. A lot of people find it strange. I used to be paying rent and I living in that house, but I say that's good practice for young men and young women. They have to
I wish you youth nowadays will understand that, bro.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily mean for
Some of the parents need to understand that you cannot give your child everything because you'll take away a drive for them to succeed.
If they're not paying rent, they're paying 2 bills, they're doing something in the house. They're chipping in for groceries.
Yeah.
teach them some form of stability.
Okay, so now here I had this concept, and everybody, I remember I take licks for it, right? I had this concept that my son that I love most dearly, my biological I love most dearly, I could be the wealthiest person in St. Lucia. If he needs to get his first car at 18, right? I'm not giving it to him.
I would agree with you on that.
I would agree with you on that.
I'm not giving it to him. And it's not because I don't love him, and not because I don't care for him.
Then you want him to.
I want him to understand,
Cherish it more.
earn
Work
it.
for it.
So I rather tell him, okay, I'm selling that car for you for $1,000. No matter how small it is. And then make him go and earn the $1,000.
Right.
Bring the $1,000 to
You're
me.
teaching him that.
Right? Then when you give me the $1,000, give him the car and give him back the $1,000. Oh, okay, you know what? I will not give him back the $1,000 because next time you expect that. But you get my point. The point is, you'll catch on. But the point I'm making is, we need to stop that. And I think that's what we need to do now. We need to be able to be that block that changes the dynamic on the people that we move with later on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
We need to be
because when you give the child a thing, you rob them of the opportunity
Facts.
of learning how to take care of themselves. That's a
Or that's also how to cherish something. If you work hard for it and you pay for it with your own money, you cherish it more.
Exactly.
My first car that I bought, was trying to buy, was from my parents. And I used to give my dad money every month towards the car. He went and sold it underneath me, by the way,
Wow.
but that's besides the point. The point is he taught me
So
to,
you're renting it from him?
well, whatever. But I went away for school
But
and
did he give you back your money back? Did he give you your money back?
He let me drive the car without having no issues with the car. So that was
That is a
perfectly
good
fine.
arrangement.
But the point is, we had an arrangement. When I wanted a PlayStation, because all my friends had a PlayStation, my father said, you're not just going to get a PlayStation just because your friends have PlayStation. You gotta work for it. I had to get good grades. And I bought my PlayStation I came up with half the money myself.
Right.
I literally went and got a summer job. Then when it was Christmas time, I got a Christmas job. By the end of Christmas, when Christmas time reached around, I got my PlayStation though.
Femi, let me tell you, my father should not listen a different way. I tell him when I want a Nintendo 64 PlayStation, the man go and buy a Poly Boy something. And so when I see that thing, my mouth long. My cat tell me nothing. It's too back and I get it. After he spend his money to buy me that.
The generation, we are trying to teach our children almost like, I don't say we feel sorry, but because we didn't grow up with some of the things or our parents couldn't give us, we tend to just shower our children with the
And that's
things
the
that
wrong
we did
approach.
not
That's
get.
why you're bringing up people who are
As opposed, because we want to say, we don't want our children, I don't want my child locking in the thing. Why? I don't want my child. But they don't, hold on, but they don't understand the importance of teaching the child the understanding of what it is to earn,
And to get from
what it
here,
is to spend,
to me, the most
what it
important
is to.
thing you can teach a child is how to get from here to there under their own strength and power. That is the final lesson as a parent you can ever teach your child, and the child will be successful. From not having to having. You can give them $1,000. The lesson of the child figuring out how to earn that $1,000 off of their own back is much better than giving a child that $1,000, and will pay the child 10 times over.
Just for us to, not that we're done with paycheck to paycheck, but I think for that episode in particular, we have to bring it to a bit of a close, right?
Yes.
But just to share some thoughts on why I actually believe in our Caribbean atmosphere, the paycheck to paycheck thing is an issue, is because unlike the other societies that have that credit ability, we don't have that ability. So if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. In America, you don't have to have the money. You could have 10 credit cards, 20 credit cards, and so on and so forth. So our Caribbean dynamic is a little different from that from there. Am I right or am I wrong?
To some degree.
I had a high line of credit from Republic Bank one time. I could buy a vehicle on that. And a loans officer trying to convince me to buy a vehicle on that. I would have to be stupid to buy a vehicle on a 25% interest rate card.
Wow.
It's a line of credit. It's a card they give you with a very high
High
limit.
limits.
That's pretty much what I feel about it.
It has its advantages and disadvantages, but what you have to learn is how to live off of what you have.
I think when it comes to paycheck for me, as voice of production, I'll say this. You know what you earn is fixed in terms of at that job. Yes, I agree, let's budget, so on and so forth. You also know you're going to have that job for an extended period of time. If you know you don't have enough, you need to start devising ways, not by cutting back, and that's important. I'm not going to tell somebody, turn off every light, not saying that you should waste electricity. My philosophy is different. if you know what makes you comfortable requires $3,000 by calculation, you know you were getting 1,005 from that said job. What you need to do is to find out how I'm going to get the additional 1,005. I think that's my personal approach.
But
My
you
approach
can't
is a little
always think
different.
of how to come up with the 1.5. Not every time you will be able to come up with the
Just
1.5.
hear me out.
But
We
what
have
you're saying is, I
what
understand.
we're saying is what's the point of budgeting knowing exactly what your monthly is? You know you're earning $1,500. You understand? You know it for a fact. It's not something that you have to guess. You know how that 1,005 supposed to be spent. How many times do you have to spend it for it to know how it have to be spent? You understand? So the issue that I have with persons and paycheck to paycheck is that they keep themselves locked in on the paycheck and not looking to diversify how they could earn.
Oh boy,
Sometimes
you that cheap, bro.
Hold on. Sometimes you're so caught up, Kurt, in dancing from one foot to the other that you don't even make the time to think like that.
Yeah, well,
You know?
and I count myself.
in surviving.
Yeah, you dance from one foot to the other. Well, bills, my child's sick, I have food, I have to go to work, I have to do this. By the time you get home, it's just, boy, let me put on Netflix and let me just melt.
I count myself fortunate for one reason. When I left secondary school, when everybody had the aspiration of going into higher learning and wanting to be a doctor and be a nurse and be a police officer and be those things, right? I never had the aspiration to do any of those things. I have a regular 8 to 4. The difficulty I face coming out of school is what I'm doing now in production is what I always wanted to do as a business, right? I started off with music. I did those things. I carried computers under my arm to go and play music for $40 already. People like tell you all that already. I go and do things for very little because in my mind I always wanted to be a bit of an enterprising person. That was my first love. Not just music or anything, but be enterprising. So my mindset was a little big. The difficulty, which is what you faced, Key, is what I faced as well. I didn't have the startup. I didn't have the know-how per se. So I had to fail multiple times. And when I tell you fail multiple times. And I'm still failing. And it's okay. In my opinion, it's okay. Because what you live with it, what you leave from the fails, you learn how to change it up later down the line. To the point now where I could literally have an 8 to 4 and still flex on the outside and know that my outside flex is greater than my 8 to 4. So in other words, the 8 to 4 now, for me, is going to handle all my monthly without problem. And now I could invest with the business the other way. So we have to think of what it is that we're coming into, what it is that we want, right? And not cripple ourselves into believing that it's only that I could earn, it's only that I could do. You understand? We have to change that dynamic. I think that's the concept of paycheck to paycheck is how we imprison ourselves. That's just my opinion on it.
The chains move from around our necks to inside our heads. That's paycheck to paycheck. But in closing, I would like to ask each of you, how do you think in about 5 sentences you can break the cycle of living from month to month, week to week, day to day, paycheck to paycheck?
Okay. I can only speak on what I believe can happen.
Oh, that's
That doesn't, yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean what will happen because then I will be one of those billionaires. I think for one, budgeting is important to understand wealth and how to become sustainable enough to not to live outside of your bills and expenses. I think, like Femi said, it's important to have some form of financial intelligence. Is that the term?
Well, financial management.
Yeah, financial management. Um, it takes nothing much for somebody to sit and write how they intend to come out of living on the fixed income, what they believe they can do to come out of it and put it into play, put it into practice, put it into plan. And that's where I stand on paycheck to paycheck or living outside of paycheck to paycheck.
Ashton?
I, for one, definitely agree with we see here, you've got to start by having a plan and start by budgeting. You need to write it down, create a spreadsheet, do something, find some way to track your expenses. If you cannot track your expenses, then you cannot have an idea as to where you're going, if you're going in and out of debt, or what's going on with your money. Sometimes you could probably cut back somewhere, but you need to find a way to track your expenses and then find some way now to, even if it's $5, put something aside and then grow from there. Education is important. You know, it's not taught to us in schools. They don't teach you how to file your taxes, how to make money, how to save, how to plan. It's not taught. You have to teach yourself. So find some way. YouTube is always there. Education is always for free. Figure it out.
Just because we have access to information doesn't mean people utilize it the way it should be, you know. Because you have the financial plan, a lot of people, they will scroll to the woman shaking ass or the person busting up something or the OnlyFans. I thought that's what you was talking about earlier. Next thing you know, everybody see your cheeks and you have to go back to the 9 to 5 right after. Femi, what do you think? How do you think you can break the cycle of paycheck to paycheck?
Well, I agree with Kay in terms of budgeting. Knowing what your expenses are and where your money is going is the first step to learning how to manage your money, I would say. Financial management or financial literacy on a whole is very important because you need to know how to invest your money and invest in yourself.
Right.
Because as Kurt rightfully expressed and mentioned, is that yeah, you might have a 9 to 5 and you know you have a fixed salary, or an 8 to 4 and you know you have a fixed salary. But what about your other dreams and aspirations? How far can that fixed salary go? You know, and like learning how to make that money into double or triple or whatever is highly important, because I'm sure everyone has dreams and aspirations, and living paycheck to paycheck is a scary situation to be in. You don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck because that leaves no room for anything else.
Okay. All right. Carol, let's hear your thoughts on this topic.
If you, like we've all said, live within your means, don't let pride or ego make you go above what you're earning. But make nothing be beneath you that's legit and legal to make a little extra money. I'll take, for instance, what we do here: sell dolls, make ice stories, sell icicles. Do something to make the little extra to now finance the dream that you really want to do. Don't let the mundane life that you live and worrying about paycheck to paycheck deter you from being the videographer or IT or social media influencer or not influencer or any of those things. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes some of the philosophers tell you, when you think the next step is the hardest, look back. You might have taken 1,000 steps and not even realize if you keep just going step by step, and you'll get where you need to go.
And take risk. You have to take that leap of faith, that risk. Come out of our comfort zone just a little bit to get to the goals that we need or aspire.
Calculated risk.
Yeah, calculated risk. Thank you for me. Yeah.
Don't be spending more than don't be investing more than you're willing to lose either. Because a lot of the times, a lot of people just invest a whole bunch of money into something hoping that it's gonna pop off for them. And then when shit goes sideways, it's like, oh my God, I lost all this money. So don't invest anything you're not willing to lose.
Period. Clock that T.
For me, I would say if you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck, you have to accept one of the coldest, harshest, and most sobering realities of life. Everybody is self-made, but it's only the rich and successful people would actually admit it. So when you look at your friend and you say, boy, if I only had $200, I would do this and I would do that, or you look at your boyfriend resentful or your girlfriend resentful of what they're doing, understand that you have the power and you don't need a sponsor, you don't need a foreigner, you don't need the lottery or a sign from God for you to make the best of your today. The best way to break the cycle of paycheck to paycheck is to understand that you have to plan for yourself now. Start taking from yourself now to invest in your future instead of taking from your future tomorrow in terms of loans to try and make yourself as comfortable as possible today. What you cannot do without, you might end up dying for. And that's a paycheck to a paycheck. That's it for me.
Grown Folks Only Podcast.